Hi, my name's Michelle Morrison, and today I'll be talking to you about counselling techniques when working with children and youth.
Lucky.
I'll be specifically talking about art therapy and Gestalt therapy, going over some techniques and an appraisal at the end.
No, just that because it was
Play is so important for children, and this is quite relevant to these two approaches. The first approach, art therapy, obviously very focused on creativity, healing emotional conflicts, and personal growth.
No.
I'm going to have to remind her.
So art therapy is considered an allied health profession. It's usually practiced by a therapist that has a master's in art therapy, and the therapist does take from a wide range of theoretical perspectives, such as Jungian, mindfulness and person-centered therapy, and usually an art therapist will draw from a lot of those and be very eclectic in their approach. And obviously art therapy is really appropriate for young children, as they don't have the words to often describe their feelings, and they can still give a voice to their stories through creativity and
Okay.
so it's obviously very sensory based. It also gives the therapist clues as to the developmental stage, levels of cognition, for example, and sensory integration. It can be really calming for children, encourages meaning making, and most importantly, this work can give the opportunity to repair attachment issues or damage through a really positive and warm therapeutic connection. Just quickly, this slide depicts the different stages of drawing. So the therapist would keep this in mind as they're working with different ages of children.
Recording Zoom and presenting it live.
So techniques are often described as interventions or directives. It's very important in this work for the therapist to create the environment for creativity to occur. So, we might use music or meditation to help the child move into a calm state. And a range of materials are normally provided. However, the therapist would be aware of some mediums that might not be well suited to the client. So if there are control issues, maybe paint is not a good medium because of how messy it can be. The therapist will be either directive or non-directive in their approach. So they might specify a theme, or they might let this be more spontaneous and free, which can then lead to some really interesting subconscious material coming out. My first technique is the family drawing or collage. Obviously, when working with children, we're working within a larger system, so the caregivers are important in that journey. So the therapist might ask the family to draw yourselves living together on an island. If just the child is in the session, the therapist might adapt that to draw your family as anything but humans, or create clay sculptures of your family members and then arrange them. This could be really revealing, and the therapist would guide that process and ask the family questions about the process, and really drawing out the symbolism and meaning of the images created. Second technique is art journaling, really accessible for everyone, for school children and beyond. And this can be done in between sessions as well, and it can be brought to the therapist to discuss if the client wants. It can help with emotional regulation and building self-esteem, and some prompts are there, such as doing spontaneous imagery or drawing something you're proud of. So lots of really interesting information can come out of that to work with. This technique of mask making is extremely powerful. I've experienced it myself. Many cultures could relate to this, and it taps into our storytelling and our heritage and our cultures. So really multiculturally appropriate, I believe. The therapist might ask the child to represent how others see you, like what do you show to the world, and then on the inside of the mask, how do you really feel inside? What don't you show to the world? So as you can imagine, some really interesting polarities and discussions might come out of that, and that process can be followed up with some Gestalt dialogue. So, for example, if your outer mask could talk to your inner mask, what would it say? And that can be explored. So, as sort of mentioned, art therapy can be extremely successful with trauma and helping process really difficult experiences in a safe environment. It can improve self-esteem, help with anxiety. It's very calming, and lots of awareness can come out of it. With disability, it's also really useful and can be adapted. It can be empowering when people with disabilities can feel very disempowered, can help with pro-social behaviour as well, and available in a wide range of settings and becoming more and more well-known, which is really exciting. Second approach I'll talk to you about is Gestalt therapy. So the main tenet of this is that individuals can be understood in relationship to their environment, and it focuses on self-awareness very much and responsibility and choice. So the Gestalt approach was pioneered by Fritz Perls, and it looks at field theory, phenomenology,
That's a funny bit.
the here and now, and a dialogical relationship. Focuses on the whole person, thoughts, behaviours, feelings, memories, dreams. The figure background formation is key, and that's about what is most pressing or urgent in the client's world at that time and what's out of awareness for the client. Yes.
Yes.
With children, lots of opportunities for verbal and non-verbal expression, and we're looking at sort of storytelling, puppets, sand play, body movement, drama, so it's very eclectic as well. When we talk about the figure formation, the child can also very much arrange all of these aspects of themselves until the need is satisfied, and then that cycle continues. The main goals are encouraging self-efficacy, accepting responsibility, and increasing awareness, similar to working with an adult. Gestalt techniques are called experiments. Before I go into that, the quality of the therapeutic relationship is extremely important, because a lot of these experiments really encourage the client to get out of their comfort zone and can be quite uncomfortable. So a good foundation needs to be formed. The client can try different ways of being in a safe environment, and these experiments are very spontaneous and creative and come out of the interaction, so they're sort of one-off experiments. Lots of role playing and looking at body movements, gestures. The therapist needs to be really careful and assess the risk of an experiment, because it might be too much. It could be traumatizing, or on the other scale, like maybe not enough in terms of encouraging personal growth. Empty chair technique is a very well-known one. So that involves the therapist asking the child to think about a person and to dialogue with that person. The therapist will observe how the client behaves, and this can explore conflicts and splits and ownership of choices as well. Dramatized play. So this gives children an opportunity to reenact potentially traumatizing experiences in a safe environment. They can use dolls or different figures to make contact with different aspects of themselves. It's very based in the present moment, and it allows the child to regain a sense of control and to project really strong feelings onto the dolls or characters as they learn to Just quickly, another technique is staying with the feeling, really deepening into that experience of uncomfortable emotions that we will often not want to go there. So that can also involve locating the emotion in the body. Where is it felt? Gestalt therapy is fantastic in group work because it deals with the environment and contact, so the group can really learn from each other. It's great with personality disturbances and, for example, perfectionistic personalities can assist with relationship issues and grieving clients and chronically ill clients. There's a lot of information here, and I'm just going to skip over this because I'll summarize this in my conclusion. Lots of similarities in these approaches in the experiential nature, and but a few things to be aware of. Again, I'll skip over this and I'll summarize this in my conclusion. So what I found is that both approaches are really appropriate for working with children at different stages because children are naturally drawn to play and creativity. A big strength is the non-verbal possibilities of both and the healing that can be achieved through that, and whereas talking therapies might not achieve that. I feel that art therapy is really appropriate over Gestalt therapy. It's very client-centered, empowering, and focuses on a safe environment. Might be available in a wider range of settings as well. Limitations do include the cost of materials, Gestalt focusing on the here and now, perhaps not paying attention to really important historical information could be dangerous. And there are limitations with disabilities with Gestalt as well. Excuse me. And the cognitive understanding. Both approaches are probably not as empirically researched or based as something like CBT, so there's lots of room for research, and I do think they're both really valuable, and the potential for healing is extraordinary with these approaches. So thank you for listening. I think I did it, Ian. I think I finished it. Yes, I think I did Alt-N-R, but I don't know if it